I guess most recently you had a 2 Chainz Lil Wayne placement, and then you also had a Drake placement, which has been awesome to see on Family Matters, which is, obviously between the legendary beef between Kendrick and Drake, which is insane. I'm sure that's crazy.
And I'm not even kidding you. Like, my mom and I were up there with my daughter. I woke both of them up. It was like 11:30 at night. I woke both of them up and I was like, Mom, I got it. I was like, I made it. No, I was just kidding. But,
I got the Drake placement.
I got the Drake placement. It was like, so it was crazy, man. That was definitely, that was one of the cooler moments for sure.
All right, guys, welcome to the Space Trip Sounds podcast. Today I have a special guest, Jordan Fox, who's here. He's a producer from Detroit, Michigan, and he has worked on some really cool projects. Obviously, you can see in the background he has an amazing synth collection. Wow, right? I mean, it's crazy. I'm jealous. Anyway, so we're gonna be talking to him today. He's produced for Babyface, for Lil Yachty, for Lil Baby, for Denzel Curry, for Migos, for Nav, for Lil Skies. And most recently you had a 2 Chainz Lil Wayne placement, and then you also had a Drake placement, which has been awesome to see on Family Matters, which is, obviously between the legendary beef between Kendrick and Drake, which is insane. I'm sure that's crazy. So we'll get into that as well, but just wanted to welcome you on the show and clap it up for you.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
No, I'm definitely excited to talk. Especially another synth guy, that's what I'm all about.
Oh, of course. Of course.
That's always down to talk about that.
It's always fun to talk about synthesizers. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I've been getting these synths, like I've been telling you, on Reverb, and I've been meeting these like really cool people, and they're just like so into this stuff. It's like I met this guy in the middle of Koreatown in LA, and he ended up being a pretty like bigger producer, and I didn't know him at the time, but I met him and it was just like I was telling him, like, dude, it's like we're the same person. I don't know you, you don't know me, but we can relate in that way because we
Totally.
we love synthesizers.
Yeah. No, it's funny you say that too, Austin. I can't tell you, every time, like you said, Facebook Marketplace, I'm not in LA, but Detroit's a huge music town too. And dude, like you said, every single time I sit there and talk to the guy for like easily an hour, time just flies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Same exact experience as what you're saying. Music's a universal language, man. It's really special to be a part of.
It is. It's even how we kind of connected. Like I've been texting you about synths, just asking questions like, hey, should I get this one? Should I get this one? Because obviously you know a lot more than I do with about synthesis, and so like I it's just been great, man. So yeah, man, let's jump into it. Do you want to take us back to the beginning of like when you first started producing and kind of how you got into it?
Yeah, I love that story. So yeah, it goes a little further back. Growing up, my grandma paid for piano lessons. I forgot, like age 10 to maybe it was like 9 to 12 or whatever. I hated it, but became comfortable with the keyboard. I love sports. I was like all into baseball and football and shit, and I was like, I don't want to learn this stuff, but I became comfortable and familiar with keyboards, pianos. Obviously, love music because who doesn't? Flash forward to end of my college year. I remember my roommate. I had an iMac I've had it for like a year or two, during college. And he looks at me, he goes, dude, I was like playing his keyboard. And he's like, you can record music on your computer, right? And I was like, no, I didn't know that. And we opened up GarageBand, and it was literally the last week of college, like right before I graduated. And thank God it was that, because otherwise I wouldn't have graduated. There's no chance. I found that thing. I was like immediately hooked on it. So yeah, I mean, that was kind of the start, just on GarageBand on my iMac. And then, yeah, I mean, that was 2013. So yeah, I've been doing it for like 11 years ish now at this point. It's crazy to even say that, but yeah, it's definitely been a journey, and I feel like it's just starting, which is the craziest part. It's like even after 11 years, it's like you finally start to get a little bit of traction, and it's so many ups and downs, as too. I mean, you've had a lifetime of music. I know we talked about that, so it's like, dude, it's definitely a huge blessing. I feel like, got really fortunate and lucky meeting the right people too. But yeah, so from that point on, I did the like track train grind. Like I was making beats and stuff and selling them for whatever, because I thought that was the fun route. And then I found a little bit more about like sample making with Looperman, because I was like, oh, look at all these people putting loops out here. And so I started putting my stuff on Looperman. And then all of a sudden I remember it was the Lab Cook. That's my dude. He hit me up. I forgot what year it was, like maybe 27 or 2018. I can't remember. But he hit me up and he was like, hey man, I'm Rich the Kid's producer. I like what you do on here. He's like, stop posting stuff to Looperman and I'm gonna sign you. And he was kind of putting together a crew of guys, LNK, Mario Peterson, SK Beats is another guy that he had as a part of that, which I mean, they've all done amazing things, but I was a part of that group, and we ended up not signing to Grant, but still talk to him to this day. Like that's my guy. He did Carnival, like he's back up on top again. So really fun to see. And it's just such a solid dude. But yeah, so from that point I just kept like networking and making melodies. I kind of gave up on the selling drum, or excuse me, selling beats thing. I really focused specifically on sample making, started getting into all this hardware shit. I think my first one was trying to think, was it a Rev 2? Oh no, it was a Korg Mini Log. Korg Mini Log was the first one I
Okay.
bought. $350. I remember my cousin he worked at Guitar Center in Roseville, and he helped me buy my first machine, like Native Instruments
Sure.
machine. And I remember being like, oh my god, I was like, oh my god, I can't spend $150 or whatever it was. I was like breaking the bank to be able to do it, because I was like, and my buddy and I, he actually was recording lyrics at the time. We split it in half, and my cousin was like, all right, dude, just pull the trigger. Like, what are you waiting on? Come on,
Right,
like
right,
let's.
right.
And now, come to find out, I've got thousands of dollars of gear in my freaking house. It's like,
Yeah.
what a trajectory that was, $150 to whatever this was. But yeah, so it's been from that point, like you said, it's just like a rabbit hole, and you meet more people, and and then obviously, got connected with Murda and Corey, and that was like 2020, I think, was when that happened, or 2021 maybe. I can't remember exactly what year it was that I signed to them. But yeah, working with them, signed to Warner Chappell, got a joint venture through Murda. Corey, obviously, he's bounced around as far as different companies. I was with Hallwood for a while. And then now he's with Range. So, but yeah, they're fantastic guys. They're, the best. And yeah, that's pretty much the story. I kind of just fast forwarded all through it.
Wow.
But yeah, the beginning's fun though, for sure.
For sure.
Because you have no clue, just like you. I mean, dude, you have no clue it turned into something like this, which is just wild.
Right.
So like it turns into something that actually is paying some bills, which is fun.
For sure.
So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I didn't know your story like that far back, so it's really interesting to see.
yeah.
I just found you when you already had all these synths, and I was like, okay,
Uh,
this guy's dope, man. I got.
well, thanks,
Anyways,
Austin.
so when did you first start taking this whole thing seriously? Like in the beginning, like obviously you had a machine and you had the Korg Mini Log, and then you had a computers. But like, when did you really say, hey, I'm gonna do this production thing?
Yes. So, you kind of, like I was saying, kind of goes back to with Lab Cook. So he was the first, I'd say, like bigger name that noticed my music and was like, "Hey, this is pretty decent. Like, I want to, use your." And I was like, "Whoa, okay, this is legit. It's not just selling $30 beats, to whoever." I mean, he's signed to Rich the Kid. I was like, that would be, So I'd say 2018. It was like I was saying, that kind of coincided when my daughter was born too, because that was kind of like a wake up moment for me too. Like, holy cow, I got to start like, you know, going full ass into things, not just half assing it. It's
Yeah, I
kind
get it.
of funny. But yeah, so I'd say 2018, and then what are we, 2024 here? So yeah, from that point to this point was when I really started putting in a lot of work, like trying to send out sample packs every day. Or not every day, excuse me, every week. God, if every day would be nuts. But yeah, I was on that grind for like, I mean, shoot, that was like at least 3 years there. I was doing that I can't even tell you how many samples I have at this point. But yeah, just trial and
Wow.
error. And so yeah, definitely, I feel like now I don't work as much. I mean, I don't know if you know, but I have got like I've got to work a full time job, got 3 kids,
Sure, sure, sure.
wife, house, all that stuff. So it's definitely not as much as I used to. But you put those 10,000 hours in, and you become good at what you do, type of thing. It's a little bit easier, because you already
Yeah.
put that work in, so to speak. But yeah, I'd say 2018 was when I really started getting after it.
So were you good in the beginning, or did it take time to like become good?
Dude, God no, God no. That's dude. No, I mean, it was embarrassing. I still have all those files. I have to probably dig one up for you and play it. But dude, it was yeah, they were horrible. On Looper Man, I'd go back to the ones I first did on there. I was just like, I of course was super influenced by Q Beats, because I feel like that 2018
Yeah.
wave was when they were like, so it was a lot of that like acoustic type of stuff that I was trying to recreate. Wasn't really even all into this stuff, for the most part. It was like Contact Banks and Omnisphere, and whatever other types of sounds I could find like that, like maybe a guitar or something. But yeah, no, they were terrible, dude. And my beats were bad, my mixes were terrible. I will say though, which was kind of fun about it, is I feel like I took more risks though back then, because I didn't really know, like what sounds were supposed to, like what sounds are the right sound, so to speak.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff I made was more, to me, more creative, because it was so unique. And I think if
Interesting.
anything, that was, yeah, like it wasn't like I didn't know enough how to be able to create the right sounds and use the right sounds how they're used. So I was just making what sounded cool to me at that time.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I,
yeah.
so sometimes I'm like, man, what was I thinking when I made this? Um, sample, you know, like what was I trying to put together, like what artist. It was just more so just for me to like experiment, so to speak. So but it's funny that you asked that, because yeah, they were terrible in terms of what I currently make. Like what I currently make I feel like is way more like laser focused on, okay, it's stuff for Drake, it's stuff for
Mm-hmm.
Future, it's stuff for Lil Baby, you know, whoever. I try to like hone in on that sound. It's more intentional. Whereas back then I was just making to make stuff, you know, and it
Yeah,
was,
for
I
sure.
hate to say it, hell of a lot more fun, dude.
Sure,
Like, you
sure,
know,
sure, sure.
yeah.
But it's also good. It's good to have that because then you can kind of create from an angle that you have no rules, and
Totally.
you kind of create something that made, like you were saying, you don't otherwise you wouldn't create. Which is, I think sometimes, like, I know for me personally, what I'll do in the studio is sometimes I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna make a song with absolutely no preconceived notions as to like any genre or anything. I'm just gonna try to combine as many things as I can, and that has totally led me to new ideas that I've never had before. So I love that. So question then for you is, if you had to go back from the very beginning as a producer today in 2024, how would you start your career if you wanted to actually have a career doing this?
Oh man, I feel like, dude, I've gotten that question before, and dude, I feel like it's, especially after the pandemic, there's just so many people like figured it out as far as like, oh shit, YouTube, oh shit, it's a computer, oh shit, there's software. Like, dude, it's so competitive now. It's like a whole, even as crazy as it sounds, from 2018 to 2024, it feels like the whole landscape's changed, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So, the way that I did it back then was like kind of like what Murda says too, like, you know, DMing people, and that I don't think that works as much as it used to anymore. And just like trying to like network horizontally, occasionally poke your head out vertically, but not like, you know, you're not like right when you start, not immediately. That was I forgot the meme, like opens up FL for the first time, makes a beat, DMs Murda beats, you know, like come on, like,
Yeah.
you know, like,
Yeah, I get
so
it.
finding like, you know, different ways, and people like kind of like your level, so to speak. And Labcook did that, to my credit. He did that right off the bat for me, like with LNK and Mario Peterson, like in SK Beats. They were all like kind of starting out, so to speak. And then, I mean, I don't know if you know them, but they've had like so many songs, like huge songs.
Sure.
And yeah, it's just been crazy to see how they, you know, just put the work in. And I mean, I at that time they were still further ahead than me, I felt like, in terms of like their musicality. But yeah, so I guess in terms of today's thing, I think it's just relationships, you know, like that's
Yeah.
really what I keep hearing, is like who you know, how well you know them. And I don't, to be fair, man, like I don't know how I would do that today. Just being genuine and like trying to fill a need for somebody. I don't know how you
Sure.
do it though, you know, like maybe like, and that's why I think like I do my kits, like, you know, get your name out there that way and make quality products like that. Like I love my analog lab banks, you know, like
Yeah.
find something niche that like gives you a, not a leg up, but gives you a name somehow. Like my dude, 44th floor, like his stuff is a million times better than mine. But I mean, shit, he's like the pack god, you know, so to
Sure, sure,
speak.
sure,
Like that,
sure.
yeah, you know. But so that's, I'd say that'd be kind of the thing I'd lean towards. But I feel like it's way more difficult, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I could be wrong, but it just seems like even shit when I've, you know, a pretty good credit list at this point. I'll DM people and there's no chance, like nobody's answering me, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
like. So I don't know. It's tough. And it's a little you know, disheartening, but you just got to keep working, you know, and kind of trust the process, I guess, so to speak.
For sure. So how
But
important
yeah,
is actually getting in rooms with people? Because I was at a studio the other day and we were talking about like just getting in rooms versus just doing online. Like basically,
yeah,
because there's different routes you can do online, like sample packs. You can do YouTube. You can hit up people. You can send people samples, whatever. But like this guy that I was at his studio, he just randomly he was like, yeah, Kid Leroy comes through sometimes, and whoever's in the session gets to like produce or
wow, wow,
engineer for him. So it's like
yeah.
he's like it's really important that you just kind of in the rooms, and then when people are there, they're there. So I was just kind of curious, like on from your take, like how important is being in the rooms versus doing the online thing, or is it both? Like are both important? Like what's your take on the whole thing?
Dude, if I was like, I mean, you're in LA, man, like that's the spot to be. LA, Atlanta, Miami. I feel like, I mean, New York maybe too, but like, dude, it's I don't know. I don't get out as much nearly as often as I need to. I think that would be. And I was talking with Nick Paps the other day. Him and I have been working on a lot of stuff. And he even said, he's like, dude, he's like, get in person, man. Go outside. Like
Mm.
you got to go. And I, to my discredit, like I feel like I just haven't done that. And it's, I mean, I hate to say I'm a homebody. Like clearly I've like, you know,
Yeah,
like I don't
yeah,
ever,
yeah.
you know, everything I want to, you know, hear. So, but yeah, no, man, it's, I definitely know that that's a big component of it. Like you said, shoot in LA, if Kid Leroy's pulling up to studios and like big names, you could
Yeah.
work with them just like that. Like, I mean, that's a no brainer to me. Like, get out and meet some people and network. Like, that's why people move there, you know?
Sure.
Like I said, I've been so blessed and fortunate to be able to, like, I guess, make the right moves over the internet,
Yeah.
you know, at the right time. And I think a lot of it's luck, timing, work that you put in, all that stuff. But, yeah, dude, I think that's one of my goals I put for this year. I still haven't even booked a trip, and I've been telling Murda for like months now. I'm going out to his place this month, but
Sure, sure.
I don't know if it's gonna happen. So yeah, I definitely need to do that, and I think it's a pivotal part. And I mean, Nick was saying, he's like, dude, it's like 10 times easier to get placements in person than over the internet.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm
like,
sure.
you know, so that's, to me, I know that that's a big lacking component of what I got going on.
Sure.
But just finding the time and all that, like I was telling you, my commitments and all that other stuff is really tough to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a big component for sure, man. I
So
wish I was in LA sometimes,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, like straight
you should come out.
up. Honestly, dude, I know, man. I've been saying it for too long.
I
But
know.
you know what? I come up there, I'll hit you up, bro. We'll
Yeah,
definitely
for sure. So yeah, so if you, because you obviously have like done a lot of your work online. So my question for you about that is like, if you're a producer starting out from scratch and you just want to make beats and or you just want to make samples and you want to get your name out there to some degree, would you start from the angle of making beats? Would you start from sample making? Would you start from starting a YouTube channel? Would you just focus on like short form content? Like what would you do to get out there? Would you DM people? What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, dude, I think that's it. The short form content. I think, like,
Yeah.
I see Nico Barron, or I don't know how you
Yep.
say his name, but my dude Mars, who signed to Murder, he just started up a TikTok, and like, I feel like already he's got some motion based off the content he's doing. Like, to me, that would be and it's, people don't like to do that. I don't like to do that. I don't like to show my face. I feel like I look like a goof ass, you know. So it's like, it's tough to be courageous enough and bold enough to like put yourself out there. But it sure feels like that's what's most consumed at this point in time, you know? Don't you
Yeah.
think? Like,
Yeah, I agree.
that's how I,
It's
like,
unfortunate, I think a little bit
yeah,
from like the artistic perspective, but like
yeah,
it also is kind
right,
of a cheat code in some ways because you can get your name
totally,
out there quicker.
right. And if you're good at it, like Mars and Nico are amazing musicians. So it's
Yes.
like, like they're, dude, it's, so for myself, I don't know. I don't know if you saw that, but I tried a couple
Yeah.
of those little short form videos,
Yep.
and I kind of felt like the timing thing, it was just so much editing and like I
Yep.
said, time. So, and, but I think that'd probably be the best route. I don't think one specific thing like making beats, because who knows, maybe you put that short form content out there, artist finds you and say, hey dude, wow, your shit's crazy.
Sure.
Then like they always say like build with an artist, which I've never done, but like
Sure.
they always say that, maybe that's how that works then, like
Yeah.
that's where my head would go. But then again, I feel like that's like probably an easy answer. I know I didn't go that route. Like I just honed in on making connections with people and making samples because that's what people wanted at the time.
Yeah.
And making something that they couldn't was always the thing that, or it would take them too long to make. That's what I kind of thought. It was like maybe they could make it, but like get them that step one already done for them type of thing.
Sure, sure,
So
sure.
that was what. But I think at this point it's so flooded, dude. There's so many samples, so many sample makers,
Yeah.
loop, whatever the hell they call us. But yeah, no, I think the short form is probably the best, but maybe a different angle. I don't know. You just got to do something different. Really, that's what I always say. It's different is better than good, right? Like that's what I've
Interesting.
always like. Dave Pensato said that. I feel like I heard like
Yeah.
even with mixing, they're like different is better than good because people are like, whoa, I've never heard that before, or seen that or whatever, consumed that, however, and it catches their attention. So
Yeah, for
I always
sure.
thought that was kind of an interesting take, but yeah.
That's amazing, man. So take us through then your connection with Murda and how that whole thing came about. Because that's
Yeah,
pretty
dude.
cool. That's cool how that whole,
Oh,
I mean,
dude.
I know a
Oh,
little bit, but tell the
yeah.
people.
Oh, dude, it's so, dude. Yeah, like I said, just I feel like it's lucky. But I'll start how I ended up working my way to get Murder to hear my stuff. So,
Okay.
Pro Logic, who is Nav's engineer, producer. I forgot how I even got my stuff to him, but he and I had a few songs going on with Nav, and he was using my stuff, and this was before I was signed to anybody. And then he was in the studio with Foster, who's signed to Murder, and they were playing his stuff, and Foster was like, "Well," he DM'd me. He's like, "Hey, dude," like, or maybe I DM'd Foster after I saw he was in there with Pro Logic. I was being the stalker or whatever, and I was like, "Yo, Foster, like, hey, I saw you were in with Pro. Me and have a guy." He's like, "Oh yeah, we were cooking up to your samples." He's like, "Send me some stuff." So I sent stuff to Foster. Foster was using it. Long story short, a couple weeks later, he was in the studio with Murda playing the stuff in there, and then I think I saw that he posted something about him and Murda doing something, and I hit Murda up just on the off chance that he would, see my message. And I was like, oh, I saw you were in the room with Foster. He uses my stuff. And he DM'd me back. He's like, yeah, bro, we cooked up like 40 beats to your stuff. And I was like, what? Like, it blew
Whoa.
my mind even to this day. And that was all he said back. I remember I messaged him a million times after that, because it's like, like I just couldn't, control myself.
Yeah,
But yeah, so yeah, from that point on, though, I just kind of like kept at it, and I asked him for his email, and he had replied back, and I sent him some stuff to his email, and I would see that he would download it and use it, and I forgot how much time went by, like maybe 6 months or so, and then one night, I didn't know what, it was a random night, just called me in the middle of the night. I don't even know how he got my number. He called me, and he's like, "Hey, bro," he's like, I love the stuff that you're doing. He's like, let's try to get this, going. He's like, the whole team uses your stuff. He's like, it makes too much sense. I love what you got going on. And I don't know, still to this day, I haven't asked Murda, but I don't know if it coincided with if he knew we had gotten a placement with Migos, the song that I had with Migos.
yeah.
I don't know. I think there's probably like, some timing of that happened, but yeah, I think, and then from that point, we just kind of talked to Corey, talked to Murda, and we started kind of hashing out, publishing deal between myself and Murda, and then obviously management with Corey. And yeah, like I said, that was like 2020, 2021. So I was teaching at the time. I don't know if I told you that I was a school teacher for 8 years, man. So that was kind of fun. But yeah, the kids never believed me when I was like, hey, yeah, this is happening. Like, okay, sure, Mr. Like whatever. But yeah, so that was always funny. But yeah, no, that cracked me up. But so yeah, that was kind of the story with Murda. And then from that point on, like, he just kind of used my stuff, and yeah, and kind of just working on things. The Lil Wayne placement obviously came through him, Migos too. And yeah, it's been really good though. They're a great group, and so blessed to be a part of. Yeah, be able to use their brand, and
for sure.
Yeah.
So did you say that you were working with Nav before you met with Murda? How did that connection come about?
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to think of. So it was through Pro Logic. I'd never met any of these artists, obviously, but it was through Pro Logic. But I can't remember how I got my stuff to Pro. But
was it? Were you sending samples to Pro, and then he sent?
Yeah. It was all
Got
it was all samples we had, and I think that it was the Good Intentions album. I was looking at the plaque back there. The Good Intentions album. I had like 4 songs or 5 songs with Nav that didn't make the cut, and then I made it on the deluxe part of it. But yeah, he was using a ton of it. And then I don't know, I don't know what's been going on, but he hasn't, we haven't been in touch since that point, but I can't remember how I got my stuff to him. It was just kind of like, DMing people and getting their contact and saying, hey, I've worked with so-and-so, like, finding a way to like make a connection, so to speak. So, but yeah, he's a great guy too. And, he for a minute there, he was like, hey, maybe, maybe I sign you, you'd be my first person to sign. And, it was like coinciding with Murda. And I was like, oh, kind of hard to turn down a Murda Beats,
of course,
potential opportunity. So, yeah, but Pro's a great guy. I know 30 Rock and we had been working. That was the one I got the Lil Baby, Lil Yachty song with. Me and 30, he's a great guy as well. Yeah, it was just emailing and DMing, dude, which I don't think you can do which is sad as shit. But what do you think, Austin? You think that's I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like ever since the pandemic, it's gotten a lot more saturated, to be honest, because everyone was at home and they didn't have anything to do, and so a lot of people became more. They got into music production more. I think. I don't know. Do you think? I don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree. It just feels like there's like sample makers coming out of the woodwork, dude. That's what I feel like. It's like global, and the market's so saturated, but
it's hard. I think at the end of the day, it's just more about building relationships with people and like being cool with them, and like they're gonna. My buddy, I was telling you before, I'm friends with a guy named Sean Neff. He started that Neff Headwear company, and I was kicking it with him. The other day, and he told me he was talking to Bauer, who did Harlem Shake, and he's like I called him up because I was asking Sean. I was like, Sean, how do I get my name out there as a producer? Because he knew he knows people in the industry, and he started his own successful business, and many of them at this point. And so I was just like, how do I do this? And he's like, I got a friend. I'm gonna call him up and ask him. So he called up Bauer and he asked me, he's like, what's the way that you get out there as a producer? And he's like, there's 2 ways. He's like, the first way is you get in the rooms with people. He's like, that's pretty much like the main way. That he's like, these people that are working with these big artists, a lot of them are just their homies. You know what I mean? So he's like, get in the rooms and make friends with as many people as you possibly can. And the second way was, he was just saying, he's like, you can do it online, but it's just a long grind basically to do it. So it's just
Yeah.
kind of interesting. I think like at the end of the day, it comes down to like who you know, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the barrier for being successful is having good music first. Like that's the lowest barrier of entry, I think. And then
Yep.
from there, you just have to be like a cool person. You can't be someone that's like, sliming
Yeah.
people over, and you want to
Dude.
provide value, I think, for people, and just be a good dude at the end of the day. And I think
I
things.
find it, along those, not to cut you off, sorry, I was
Yeah,
just
no,
saying,
go
like
ahead.
along those lines, dude, with the that being a good dude piece, but really the main thing I've noticed, and I'm so bad at it, dude, and I still to this day am bad. And my friend Coleman always tells me, I mean, just do like that's it. Like don't talk as much. Like
Yeah,
don't go bombard. And I'm so bad at it, dude, because I've got like such an active brain, and it's
sure.
like I can't. But that's a huge piece of it. Is just don't be irritating. Like you said, like
Yeah,
be a cool person. But like these people are getting flooded by people all day long,
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like they don't want another person that they got to deal with that's like adding no value whatsoever other than pestering, and that was
Sure,
me, and it still is me, dude. That's what I feel like is like I probably shot myself in the foot. I couldn't even tell me how many opportunities because I couldn't freaking get off my phone,
sure,
like
sure.
take a walk or some shit, like
Yeah, yeah,
that's the part of the internet. Like if you knew the people in person, you'd be like, oh, this is a fucking person, dude. I'm not gonna bug the shit out of them because they're a person, like it's not
right.
like just some profile that you I don't know, and that was my mistake. So maybe other people don't make that mistake, but I know for a fact I'm just god awful at it. Like just sitting there
I
smiling.
think we
So,
all
but
struggle
yeah,
with that at some point. Like
yeah,
it's a fine line, like of being like really
oh, yeah,
persistent because you kind of have to
yeah,
be in the industry, but at
yeah,
the same time, like you want to be a chill dude and like if you were
totally.
I think at the end of the day, like you have to think of it like if you want to be in the studio with somebody, could you just kick it without making
Right,
music? And
right.
the music
That's
is just a plus, you know what I mean? And I think naturally things come that way. That's at least what
yeah,
I've experienced so far. Like the times where I've just been cool in studio sessions, it's like we'll talk for 30 minutes beforehand just about life, and then
right,
naturally a song comes from it, and we're cool and we're friends outside of the studio, which is I think is the best way to do it.
point,
Um,
right.
but
Yeah,
I think a lot of producers just are not super social, and I think sometimes that kind of hinders them from having those
oh, yeah,
opportunities, which is fine. It's just maybe they have to figure out a different way to do it. But so I have a question for
yeah,
you about your placements, your major placements.
oh yeah.
What what percentage of them were from samples, and what percentage of them were from actual beats that you made?
Oh, well, yeah, I don't think I've ever had to clear an actual sample, right? Like in terms of like sampling like a record,
Like I
or no?
mean like samples that you made. Like what percentage were from samples that you were making yourself versus ones that you made beats to? Does that make sense?
Oh, shit. Oh, I never, dude. I never make beats to any of
Yeah.
them. They're all,
Okay.
yeah, like every single. Yeah, I mean, look, what I'll do, I don't know if sometimes I'll like cook up on live. I mean, like nobody jumps in and is like, who the hell am I? But um, I put like a little like it's basically a metronome, but it's just like a hi hat and clap pattern, and I'll put some kicks in there, like just to hear if there's like a pocket. It's always the
Sure.
same thing, which I need to. That's a kind of a cheat code too. Is like depending upon the music you're making, find the percussion, the rhythm element of it, and then add your music to that. I mean, that's the closest I'll get to making a full fledged beat.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, all of them have been just samples. I'll sit down here with my little click track of my hi hats and
Yeah.
claps and make whatever I make. But yeah, I don't like I said I probably should get back into making beats because that is fun, like putting together a full idea rather than just making a something with the melody, because people always do ask me, people that don't know how to or know about production, they're always like, what part do you do? Do you do the beats part? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do the music of the beats, and they can't distinguish between the beats, like the drums and the melody, like most people can, I feel like. So it's always difficult to explain. So I don't know, I feel like I am at a point where maybe I could start putting drums to stuff. I feel like that's always, at least in my opinion, that's been, those are the guys that do the drums for the most part. They're the ones that have the relationships, so it's
Yeah.
like there's no point in me doing it. They don't want to hear my shit, they want to hear their
Sure.
shit. So that's my thought, but
So
I
do
could
you
be wrong.
so do you think
Yeah,
it's kind of useless to do the beat route at first if you don't have the relationships?
I don't know, man, because I learned a lot from making beats too. Like I was saying, I mean, I probably made, I can't, like hundreds of beats before I started making samples.
Sure.
So I learned a lot about like the structure of songs through that. I don't know, man. I don't think you can go wrong as far as your time goes, especially if you're like younger, like early 20s, and you got nothing going on. Just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
start doing some stuff. But yeah, I don't think you can go wrong. I really do think that if I was doing it, and I've never heard that phrase like that, but the short form stuff, I totally would have done that way.
Sure.
That seems to me like what everybody's on and doing, and seems like it's a good way to build a network, through that.
Yeah,
So
for sure. I was listening to an Illmind interview with him and Russ, and I remember Russ was saying like, if I wanted to be a producer now, all I would do is I'd go away for like a year and just record like a ton of short form content, and then I would put out making a beat every single day for the whole year. And then like he's like, I guarantee by the end of it, your life would be totally different. Like you'd have so many other opportunities, people would be hitting you up. So I think, yeah, I mean, I think people that are like, I don't know if you pay attention to Kavi at all, who's a producer. He's big on YouTube.
oh yeah, yeah, yes, I do know
Yeah,
him. Yep, yep,
like I know
yep.
he's kind of started. I know he lives in like Colorado, but
Wow.
so there's not really a big music scene out there. But he's like totally found success by doing the online thing, building an online brand. He does all the content, and
Yeah.
as irritable as that might be to actually have to do, I think it does work
Yeah.
in
No,
today's
I
in
agree.
today's age. But
And dude, and like I know we keep talking about Illmind. I definitely it wasn't him who said that's it. Like you just gotta like put your head down and create like however
yep,
many beats a day. Isn't
yep,
that like his that's his
yep,
and
yep,
I mean dude, that's exactly my like just you just do it. You just figure it out. The more trial and error, you figure out things, you read more things, you talk to people, you message. I mean shit, I was all on Reddit. I remember like countless beats when I was first starting out. I put it on like the feedback form, which it sucked. People were like, great beat, whatever, like hear
sure,
my shit, they
yeah,
never actually but like sometimes people would give you actual feedback, and that was helpful. But like really intently listening on stuff, I thought that was. But like I mean, like Elmine, he's not wrong, dude. Of course he's not. Just like anything, you just got to put your time in. It's not going to happen right away.
of course not.
Um, so I don't know.
I
It's
think I think people too plan sometimes too much, and I think they need to just take action first, and then kind of like
dude,
as things
right?
go, just adjust.
Totally, such
Because
a great point.
life's
Yep.
not planned. You know what I mean, Rick? It
No,
really can't be planned.
no, can't be planned. Yeah, no, without it. That's such a good point. Don't think, just do more.
Yeah,
Literally, that's it.
yeah,
Like do it.
for sure.
Like you know. But yeah. Was that I saw that? I think it was Elon Musk who posted something. It was like, we don't do it because it's easy. We do it because we thought it was going to be easy or something.
It's true.
It's so true though.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
cracked me up.
that's pretty funny. Yeah, I had a buddy who he worked at SpaceX for a while, and he ended up getting me into the factory there, which was like super
No,
cool. I was
dude,
like, I brought my dad who loves engineer kind of stuff, so he was like
dude,
totally into
yeah.
it.
Oh,
But
I'm
yeah,
sure.
looking at that stuff, it is not easy what they're doing.
Can't even imagine, dude. Can't even. That's
No,
literally rocket science. That's
yeah,
what that is.
literally, yeah, 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 for sure. So okay,
That's-
so take
yeah.
us through then your most recent big placement with Drake, Family Matters.
Yeah.
How did that come about? And then
Yeah. So that's
not only how did it come about, but how did it feel? I'm sure that was
oh,
crazy.
dude, it's nuts, man. It's nuts. Yeah, this past couple weeks have been crazy, man. Like just absolutely crazy. But yeah, the way that it came about was so Kevin Mitchell, who's signed to Simon, I think is his manager.
Uh-huh.
Kevin and I have been working for a while, just like flipping each other samples and stuff. And we just had a few that were laying around, and I guess Simon hit up Kevin a couple weeks back. I forgot how many weeks ago. Hit him up and was like, "Hey, send me a pack of some stuff. Didn't really tell you who it was, type of thing." And I guess Kevin was at work, I think is the story. And he said, only send me samples that you did, no other producers on there, right?
Hmm.
And so Kevin put together a quick pack of stuff on his phone because he was at work. And he's like, I got to get over ASAP. And he included the only sample he included that had another producer on it was the one that got placed, him and I. So he sent it over to Simon. I guess they recorded to it, or whatever the situation was. And then they found out after the fact, they're like, "Fuck, dude, there's two producers on this." So it was like, it was kind of a tough point. But yeah, then that was the quickest from when I found out about it to it actually coming out.
Yeah,
Usually it's like, I mean, shit, like minimum 6 months, from
sure.
like, oh, you hear the record's made, and then you have to sit there and wait forever. I mean, that Two Chains one I waited for 3 years on, dude. I think it
Wow.
was literally 3 years. Yeah, it was nuts. Yeah, it was 3 years, 2.5 or 3, something nuts. But freaking yeah, this Drake one, dude, that just came out of nowhere, and yeah, the moment it happened, dude, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. I resigned to the fact. I was like, oh, whatever. We kind of got a hint that it was Drake, like later on, like, okay, maybe it's Drake because this is happening. We
Yeah.
never got confirmation. They kept it super hush hush. And whatever it was, I was like, it's scrapped. And then all of a sudden that night, Kevin texted me. I was up at my cabin actually, and he texted me. He was like, dude, Drake dropped. And I was like, what is it, our song? And he's like, yes. And dude, I'm not even kidding you. My mom and I were up there with my daughter. I woke both of them up. It was like 11:30 at night. I woke both of them up and I was like, Mom, I got it. I was like, I made it. No, I was just kidding. But,
I got the Drake placement.
Yeah, I got the Drake placement. She was like, yeah. So it was crazy, man. That was definitely,
Wow.
that was one of the cooler moments for sure. But yeah, like I was telling you, the past few weeks have been crazy. I got a new job at my company, which was amazing. I had my
Sure.
third kid, amazing, and then this
Yeah.
Drake thing. You know, I guess good things happen in threes, so to speak. Don't they usually
Sure.
say it's bad things? Bad things
Yeah,
happen in
bad
threes.
things, bad things. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't consider those bad. But yeah, no, it was wild, man. So extremely fortunate. And yeah, I really, I mean, that's what's funny too, is like that. Kevin, of course, used all the right sounds, it was the right time for whatever it was. He chopped my sample up. But it's like, it's always the simplest thing. It was two chords, two chords,
Sure.
and Kevin did like additional like strings in the background. But yeah, man, it's just wild how those things just happen. And it's funny, it's crazy about this time about ebbs and flows of this too, Austin. 4 weeks before that, when I had gotten my new job, I literally said to my wife, and I say this all the time though, so it doesn't really have that much impact. But I said to her, I was like, because nothing was happening. I just got turned down for my publishing deal, like
Yeah.
my option. They're like, you don't have anything in pipeline, nothing's gonna happen, we can't re-up you, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, shit, maybe this is that point, then the direction of like, hey, desk job, you're doing really well over here,
Yeah.
give the music thing up. I told her, I was like, maybe now is when I sell my stuff and just give it up. And if you would have told me 4 weeks from then, I would have had a song with Drake, dude. Like, it's just crazy how like it's like a lottery ticket, dude. Like Illmind
Sure.
says, like literally, it's like a lottery ticket. So right when it's funny how it's always like that. Right when you're about to like give up, something cool happens. Because you have those moments all the time. You got to take a break. You just feel like, man, this just isn't fucking working. Like it's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
But then you ride these high, like you have that high of the song, and it's like, oh my god, it's such a dopamine hit. But yeah, it's wild how, like I said, it's just such a pendulum swinging back and forth. Like,
For sure.
but yeah.
That's
So that
a
was the story.
that's awesome. That's a theme though I've noticed is like things tend to happen right when they're almost at the worst. And then all of a sudden things like if you just keep going. There's like this meme I've saw where it was like this guy and he was actually it's not even a meme. There's a story have you ever read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill or heard of the book?
Part of the book for
Okay,
sure.
so
Yeah.
there's this story of this guy in there who he bought this big piece of land and he was digging for years to find gold, and he basically sold the property because he couldn't find the gold. The new owner came in and the gold was only 3 feet away from where he was digging, and it ended up being like worth millions and millions of dollars. And so like the story is like right when you're
Don't
about to give up, don't because something
don't
good's
give up.
coming up on the other side of that place. I think.
God, I've never heard that story. That's incredible though. And
Yeah.
that's, dude, like it's so relatable across everything. That's what Murda's biggest advice
Yeah.
is just keep going. Like literally keep going. That's what he says every single time.
Sure.
Keep going. Because I'm sure he feels it too. Like all these guys feel it,
Oh
like
yeah.
it's dude, being creative is fucking tough, dude.
Yeah.
Like especially in this industry, it's so tough.
Especially when
So
it's a job like that's
dude,
you know what I mean like
dude,
that's
yes.
so okay so
Yes.
speak on that then speak on like someone who wants to come into the industry. What does it look like making it your job versus just keeping it a hobby, and when should you keep it just a hobby?
I'd still talk about that all the time. Not to get too much into my buddy's business, but he's had some serious killer songs lately, and he works a day job, and we make like really good money doing our day job. So it's
Sure.
like it's really tough. We've both got kids, and it's like so it's dude. That's a debate I have every day. I don't think I'm nowhere the way that I'm accustomed to living. I'm nowhere close to financially being able to make that leap, and I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
I mean, but then again, it's hard to say never ever because you never know. Like I said, I never knew I'd have a Drake placement
Yeah.
4 weeks, so like it's really tough to know. Um, but yeah, man, dude, it's a really tough thing to say. I know, like I said, from my circumstance with the kids, family, house, whatever I got going on, I love my day job too because first of all, it's a great job. Second of all, it does give me a break. I do think doing a full-time thing, if I was doing music full-time, dude, I would drive myself nuts.
Yeah.
Like it would be, and that's what's kind of a reward to me is like I get off my work, whatever I'm doing, done playing with the family. Oh shit, I got to 3 hours on Saturday morning to make whatever I want to make. And yeah, it's a pressure cooker, but like once you're good at what you do and you know what you want to make, like dude, those are some of my favorite things I've made. Is like when you're on the clock, so to speak, like
Sure.
like oh
Sure.
shit, I got this time. So and it kind of holds your inspiration back. Whereas like some days, like I remember I was teaching, it'd be summertime, I didn't have any kids, and I'd be sitting there, I'd be like, oh my god, like when am I even gonna make? You know, because you had
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much
yeah.
time, you know. So it's
Yeah,
like, but yeah, dude, the full time thing, it would be amazing to do it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many people are truly doing it full time that are like sample makers. You know, like I mean,
sure.
Q Beats, Des Wright, like you know what I'm saying. Like I don't know
Yeah.
a ton of people that, and I don't know a ton of people's business to be fair, but yeah, I don't know, man. What do you think? That's where my head's at with it. I don't know if I'd ever
I
be
don't
able to
know.
do it.
I mean,
You know,
it
so
just
yeah,
depends. I think if you really want to do it, you got to really do it. And I think if you love it, you got to do it. But at the same time, there's also that side where it's like making it your job puts like a lot of pressure on you, and it kind of takes the fun out of it to some degree. But so it just kind of depends. It depends what you want. But then you have people that that make it and they're doing it full time, and I don't know. It just but at the end of the day too, it's like you only have one life. So
yep,
if you're in a position where you don't necessarily have a ton of responsibility, and why not go for it until you do? It's kind of like what
yep,
Gary Vee always says. He's like, just put your head down when you're 20 and look up when
dude.
you're in your 30s and see where you're at, and you know,
Right? Honestly, God, it's so true. Yeah, I know for a fact, like Murda and Corey, they would be like, dude, no plan B, like
yeah,
plan A. Like I guarantee that's what they would say. But they did the plan A though. But again,
yeah,
I do think a lot of that is age. Like I hate to be like that and like
yeah,
what you got going on. But like dude, I mean, there's no chance in at least I don't know. I guess there's not no chance, but it's really to me and putting in my brain and knowing all the things I know about how hard it's been to even get what I've gotten,
yeah,
doing what there's just I just don't know what else I could do. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
for
From
sure.
this. It's a defeatist attitude, I guess, too, but like that's just my own personal opinion. I don't want to say I'm like negative or skeptic, but if I was 22 and I would freaking put in the work in my teens like some of these guys do,
Yeah,
like they know what they're doing, then fuck, dude, I'd totally do that. Like go and freaking
sure.
like you said, put your head down and look up when you're 30 and
Yeah,
move to the right spots, make the right moves if that's truly what you want to do. But 35-year-old man, like that's
yeah,
like got into it when I was 23. Like I don't know,
sure.
that's just how. But if you've been doing it for however long, that's my thought. But again, that's
I
just
agree.
maybe that's the Midwest in me. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
but
you have to weigh your life too, like what responsibilities you have at the current time, and
and
uh,
like I said, I do enjoy my regular job too.
yeah,
That's the other. So
yeah,
it's
and
kind of.
I don't know. I've had a few buddies that have told me that have done music full time. They're like, you should maybe just think about keeping it as a hobby, just
Yeah.
because I know a few people who work at some companies, and they it's just a lot of work, and it's like I don't want to go home and actually do music anymore. I just because it's my job. So it depends. It depends what you want, I think. But
Yeah,
I have one more
for
question
that.
about that Drake placement. So
Yeah.
how soon, like when you made the loop, how soon after was it placed? Because you said it was like really quick.
Yeah, so I had made that loop and sent it to Kevin. I don't even know when I made that, but it was like probably this year, probably. I
Okay,
made that loop. And then Kevin, yeah, it was one of my more recent packs, I'd say. And I do like maybe like two a month now. I don't do
sure.
it every week. So yeah, and then he flipped it. I don't even remember. It wasn't sitting around that long. Which that's kind of the case most of the time. I feel like it's mostly like new stuff that someone picks up and uses. But
Yeah,
I think like it'd be like weeks to months. Like not anywhere near years. There's sometimes things like that where it's like years, but definitely not a long time. So,
okay,
but it wasn't like hey, this he's working, cook up this vibe type of thing. It was
sure, sure,
something
sure.
I already had, and he had already had. So, um, yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, it's crazy,
That's
right? The
crazy.
time,
Yeah.
yeah, especially like I
So
said, 4 weeks before is like thinking about quitting,
so
So
oh yeah, for sure. For those who don't know, it was the second beat on that song. Is that
yeah,
correct?
second,
Okay.
yep,
Cool,
yeah, the
cool.
second melody, yep,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's crazy. I could tell too a little bit. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I could tell it
Oh,
was you.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
knows,
could
yeah,
tell.
dude. I definitely love that like darker sound things. Like people can do like melodic shit. I'm so bad at melodic shit,
Sure.
so bad at it. So like I can do the dark stuff all day, and I feel like synths like kind of maybe I'm just wrong, but I feel like they lend themselves to. That was a sample on the Mellotron. Now that I think about it,
Oh,
it was
really? Okay.
yeah, string and I think a horn and a string. So
Wow.
but yeah,
That's crazy.
yep.
Well, tell us a little bit about your synth collection that you have. Maybe go back to the beginning. Like I know you said you got the mini log at first. How did it
Let me
go from just getting one synth to to what you got now?
let
I
me
know it's a
do
rabbit
that.
hole.
No, dude, and I'm pulling this up because I've taken a note on all the synths I've had and sold. I gotta find it though, so hold on one second.
Okay.
I would have had this one before. Shit. I wish I would have.
No,
Oh,
it's
here we
all
go.
good.
Synths. Sweet. Okay, so like I said, it started with the mini log, and then I got a sub 37. That was like my first big one. Then I got a Teenage Engineering OP1.
Okay.
That was a funny one. That was my first reverb purchase,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what I was thinking, but I bought it, and then I ran it, whatever, and I plugged it in. Long story short, I freaking cooked the CPU of it, and dude, like because it was on the wrong input for like the charger basically,
Sure.
and I learned that lesson the hard way as far as buying a new thing. Like I long story short, I had to send it back to Sweden, wherever the fuck they make those things, and I ended up paying like I don't know, like $600 more than it would have been new to get it fixed, you know. So it was
Really?
like, oh,
Oh my.
you definitely pay some prices early on. I remember I never liked that thing because because it burned me so bad, cost wise up front. I never even gave
Sure.
it a chance. Because like, fuck that thing, dude. It screwed me over. But yeah, so that was that. And then Rev 2, I love the Rev 2. That was what I did the Migos, that Migos song on was the Rev 2. Sold that one. Had a Prophet 6, had a couple desktops, a Prophet 6 one, um, and then a OB6. But I hated the desktop units because it was like, I don't know, it just didn't work in my workflow. And yeah, man, there's so many I've had. So Poly D, I bought that before I got the. Actually, I traded part of what I sold, traded my Poly D for the Mini Moog down the street. Obviously not a square trade. I had to give a lot of cash for that too. But yeah, but had a Deep Mind for a while. That was another desktop one. Had a Krumar Orchestrator, a Matrix 6, DX7, which I missed that one a lot. The Grandmother, that was one I loved too. Just freaking crazy tones out of that. I had a Prophet 600. I sold that. An M1, Korg M1. I had a Matriarch, the Dark Edition. I don't know why I sold that one either. I love that one. Just sold my Poly 6. Had a CS15. Had an SY1. Had a little Theramini. So yeah, dude, it's like, and that's what it's like, a revolving door in here. So like, you try one out, like, oh, I kind of like that, and then you sell it, or trade it, wherever the hell I do. But yeah, the current setup, that's how I kind of have it organized. The ones I use the most are usually like nearest to me over here.
Sure.
So it's a Prophet 10, Mellotron, Moog 1, this was nuts looking back, and I can't believe I bought that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, Prophet 10. And then this is a Sonic SQ80. And then these little ones over here is like a ARP Odyssey, and then a Casio SK1. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. Actually, this is my favorite shit when I was on Twitch. Let me see if I can
Oh,
pan
that
it the
is
right way.
sweet. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, there we go.
Dope.
Yeah. So yeah, that one's over there. And then yeah, like you were talking about the Hydra Synth, that one's dope, dude. That
Yeah.
deluxe, you should probably look into that. That's a
Okay.
fun one. So yeah, the Mini Moog, the OG on top, that thing, that's like, I'm never selling that, dude, ever,
Yeah.
regardless. Just because
Keep that
history
till
and
you're
design.
dead.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's definitely keeping forever.
Yeah.
Then the Super 6, I love that one. I was telling you I want to get that Gemini, I think, next.
Oh yeah, that one
Then the
looks so sick.
so
The
sick,
new
right?
the
I
new
saw,
one that they just came out with, right?
yeah, dude,
Yeah.
so sick.
Oh man.
Yeah. I know. So that one, it's huge though. It's like, I want to say it's like the same size as this, or like
Sure.
very similar footprint. But I don't have the deluxe Hydrosynth. I just have the 49 key, I think.
Okay.
And then the two Junos, the 60 and the 106 on the bottom there. So those are OGs, and I mean, I probably won't ever sell those either.
Yeah.
And then further down, like you said, you got your OB6. I love that one. It's got some
Yeah.
like raw tones. And then a Phantom X6 below that, and then the one I definitely never sell, that ARP Selena 2 over there.
Okay.
Things, yeah. I mean, it's like a one trick pony, but like, man, is it just, it's crazy,
What it
Like, it's
does
such a
though
great,
is amazing.
oh, dude, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, and I hate to say it, but the software just doesn't touch it, Like,
Yeah.
I don't say that about, I feel like most of the stuff, after all the, degradation we do to the samples, you can make it sound somewhat similar, I guess.
Sure.
But like that one, I don't think it touches it.
Yeah.
And then the other two down there, that's a SK 20, which I want to sell. I'm sick of that thing. Nobody wants it. But I got
Yeah.
hosed on that. I think I spent like $1,300 on it. And I think they're selling for like $750 now. And I'm like, damn it, dude, like half price.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
for
know.
sure.
But yeah, and then there's like a little like cheap Kawhi down there. And then over on the other side, I'll pivot this thing.
Okay.
The other, oh shit, wrong way. The other side here, we've got the Kawhi, what is that, PH50, and then just a cheap, I found this on the side of the street, this little Yamaha, whatever, it's got some goofy sounds on it.
Okay.
And then this is like an electric piano, CP25. Then the Casio CZ3000, I love that one. I bought this little, let me see if I can zoom, hold up. I'm showing off all these ridiculous things. Let's see. Can it zoom? Can you zoom? It's a pan tilt zoom, dude. What the fuck?
Oh, there it
Yeah.
goes.
There we go. Hold up. Let's see if we can get this thing going. But yeah, I'll show you that little whatever. I mean, I got it. Why not
Wow.
use it, right?
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
okay.
see that little box on top there? So that's actually like a bunch of. It's like a sound bank. It's got like thousands of presets in there. So I just plug that thing in, and like,
Wow.
dude, I've got there's more presets. And then same with the D50 below. So if you do, I actually sent you that link because I saw you had the D50.
Yeah.
It's like a sound card that goes in and it has all the D50 banks in it.
Really? Oh
Um,
yeah, for sure. Send
yeah,
that to me after. I would love
yeah,
that.
definitely. It opens it up to literally every sound they have for it. And then below that, I got this one on Facebook too. That JX8P. That
Yeah.
thing's so clean. And then the controller was something separate. But yeah, man,
Wow, what a
it's definitely
collection, man. That's
yeah, right.
insane.
It's nuts, man. How much I've spent and how much time I've spent on it too. Yeah,
For
it's funny.
sure. So, okay, so question about the Prophet 10. Is it mono or is it a stereo output?
Yeah, it's
It's
mono.
mono.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So, how do you track that? Is it just going in
Yeah,
mono?
yeah, so I wish I could pivot the camera over here, but I've got a patch bay, and of course it's funny. I bought like an asshole, and I found this the hard way a lot of times. I was like, oh, I don't need a ton of inputs or outputs. I'll just get the Apollo X6 because it's cheap. And I mean, of course, the patch bay works, but it would be so much cleaner if I could just have all these things routed.
Sure.
It's not like it's a complicated patch bay, but it'd just be quicker and easier. So, buying it once is always better than buying it twice, I feel like. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've just like patched in, and then I just route it to. I have all my inputs and outputs on my Apollo patched into that, so I just route it to where it's got to go, and then just track it into Ableton.
Okay.
It's just like yeah, just a mono. Sometimes I'll throw it through the pedals and then bring it back in stereo, but
Sure.
most often I just send in a clean signal and
Sure, sure,
um,
sure.
but
No, I
yeah,
get it. So,
it's fun.
what's your favorite mono synth?
Ooh, probably
For
the mini mode.
the Mini Moog?
Yeah,
Okay,
probably,
yeah,
yeah, probably the mini mode. It's
yeah.
like
Yeah, yeah.
oh man, it's just like they can do. I mean, do it all too. It's just crazy. The bass on that shit, dude. There's nothing that can touch it, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah,
But
for sure.
the profit's close, though. I'd say that's a good one.
Okay.
But
What's your favorite poly synth, would you say, that you have so far?
that's a good question. Dude, the Junos are so classic too. They're
Yeah.
just like I don't know. All these. So this one's great. I don't use this nearly as much as I should. This Prophet X is great. The two Junos, the Hydrosynth, the Super Six, they're all a blast. Honestly, I feel like you can't go wrong with like Roland stuff. At least
No.
that's I like the owner Roland,
Oh yeah,
but
it's classic.
yeah, right.
So okay,
Yeah,
so
this guy.
talk about the Prophet 10 that you or the Prophet X.
Yeah, oh yeah,
So
yeah,
because I've been
oh yeah,
thinking about getting that one. Tell me a little bit
yeah.
about that.
It's dope, dude. The thing that I didn't actually Murda put me onto that too is he has this one. He
Yeah,
only has like I think like two boards, but um, it's cool because it has all the like contact bank like acoustic instruments on it too. So it's a synth and you can obviously layer. It has patches that have layered like strings or orchestra or choir or whatever, but it has like a synth component too.
sure.
But you can also buy banks for it too. So like I bought like 4 or 5 expansions when they go on sale. And then you just pipe them in there. There's like a OB, what the hell was it? I think it's an OBX expansion. I use quite a bit. There's like some acoustic ones like pianos. But yeah, it's a great synth man because it's expandable too.
Sure.
So I like it. I don't use it again. I don't use it as much as I feel like when I first like get down here and start making stuff, I flip on the Mini Moog, I flip on the Mellotron, I flip on the Prophet 10, and then sometimes the Junos. Like that's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't immediately go to this one. I don't know why,
Yeah,
but
for sure. How do
it's
you
got a lot of. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
how do you track like when you're tracking like the actual synths into Ableton?
Yeah.
Do you put a metronome on and then you're just recording all audio?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
how do you make it so like are you just good at playing to where you don't have to like go in and quantize after or how does that work?
No, I'm
No,
the worst,
okay.
dude. It's so fun. I bring people down to my studio and they're like, "Man, you must really be good at playing keyboard." I'm like, "No, dude, I'm good at playing software. Like, I can't play
Sure.
for shit." But like, I just experiment on the boards, and like you said, is in Ableton. I don't know if you're familiar with. I don't know what DAW you use,
I use
but
Ableton,
so I
yeah.
so I have my the boards I'm going to use. I have them patched into Ableton, and I have them all grouped under one like
Yeah.
bus, so to speak. And then I'll record the output of that group, which is all my synths that are in there, and I'll put it into one single track. So like if I'm playing like two synths at once, like this,
Yep.
like it'll be together. And I find some magic when I like go back in there chop them up, however I do it, find a part of it, loop it, so
Sure.
it's really just like it's trial and error, like
Okay.
I'm so bad at playing stuff, but then you'll find something and you can layer something on top of that, that's kind of unique to it. But yeah, that's how I do it. I usually just group them all into one like bus, so to speak, and then record the output of that. And like I said, I have my little click track that I just play to. So it's somewhat in time, but
Sure.
it's I don't ever use MIDI. Like MIDI, I have it all set up for MIDI, but like I barely ever use MIDI. The
Yeah.
only time I would do that is if I like like I'm using like Scalar or something. I'll use Scalar and then send it out to this. But I don't know. It's just a pain in the ass. I think more
Yeah, no, I,
so.
I just wanted to know because sometimes I struggle with that. I'm like, man, because I play keys, but even still, it's like getting right on the metronome is pretty hard to do sometimes, So
Yeah, I will say I've definitely spoiled a lot of takes, like you said, by not being on time.
yeah,
So
for
it's
sure.
like there's always that like weird, but sometimes those little micro differences make the difference though too. So I don't know, but
Yeah,
quantizing is huge for sure. So
yeah. So you've been putting out packs, a lot of packs through Drum Broker. So
yeah,
speak on that. Like, how did that connection come about? And then also speak on your latest one shot pack that you just put out
yeah,
because that
yeah.
thing's
So one shot.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. I put a lot of time into that. So yeah, that one's literally all the boards in this room. So
Crazy.
yeah, it's that was a lot of work, and I hope people buy it and they like it. I'm glad, so pumped to hear that you like it, man, dude. It's
Oh,
yeah, I
it's
mean the
awesome.
and like you said, I mean, I think it's a pretty good value for $60. Like, dude, this is
Yeah,
thousands of dollars of equipment, So like, I don't know. I mean, of course, it's not the synthesizer, but they're the same sounds like the sources. But
yeah.
yeah, no, it's
You'd have to pay
yeah.
so much to even just get one of
Oh,
those synths to like, you know what I
literally.
mean? So yeah, it's a
Yep.
great deal.
Yeah, I think so too. Appreciate that. But yeah, no, it's that came about so through my guy Unknown. He we used to we were putting packs out under his label on Drum Broker. And Unknown split off. He went over to put onto his site, and then Drum Broker's like, yeah, I can keep your stuff on my site too. So this last pack he wanted exclusively through that site. So
Sure.
it's only on Drum Broker, but yeah, it's definitely a special one. But yeah, dude, I love all that stuff. Like I said, that's like my favorite thing is like sound design and blending sounds. The analog lab banks, I had so much fun making the Omnisphere bank, and that's probably gonna be my next one because now I have a ton of new source sounds from my one shots, so
Yeah.
I'll probably just take those, manipulate them in Omnisphere. There's just so many capabilities you can do. I mean, I'm sure, but like
Yeah, for
you put
sure.
the thing in there and you tweak endlessly to get sounds and whatever you need to do. But yeah, no, I've got those 3 analog lab banks. They've sold like crazy. People seem to love them. People always hit me up and like, dude, I love your bank, whatever. And I don't think the Omnisphere one sold that well, but I had more fun making it than the analog lab ones.
Okay.
Uh, and I know my first one shot kit, dude, that still sells to this day. Like people
Sure.
love that. But yeah, I hope this one does well too.
I
So,
love I love your analog lab banks, how you have the multi
right, dude,
layers.
yeah,
So you have
yeah,
like the
it's
left hand you can play like a bass and
yep,
the right hand you can play the keys. It's almost like you have two
yeah,
synths. I think that was super
totally.
cool.
Yeah, thank you, Austin. I remember when I literally stumbled across. I saw like the lines down there, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like you can,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
you said, like, you can choose what keys they're on. And yeah, I was like jamming for like hours. I like because you have the sub down there, and it's like, yeah, that's cool that you noticed that, man.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
I
that is a
use your
special.
banks all the time. I love it. So
Oh, nice,
yeah,
Austin.
man,
Thank
of
you, bro.
course. So yeah,
Yeah,
I got one more question for you before we finish
yeah,
up. Um,
yeah.
so the great debate, of course, is software able to touch analog as far as the
Uh,
quality or the
uh,
grit or the whatever you want to call it. What's your opinion as someone who obviously has a bunch of analog synthesizers? Is it close or is it not?
yeah, that's a tough one. Dude, I hate to say this, but like software gets you so damn close, dude. However, this is what I've always said about the hardware. Walking up to a computer, and Foster and I were laughing about this, like because he grew up wanting to be a rock star, right? And he was laughing because I mean, to some degree, you're like as a producer, you kind of are like you're a musician, right?
Sure, sure.
But he was making everybody laugh because he's like some days I wake up and I look in the mirror and he's like I wanted to be a rock star. I was a kid playing an instrument. He's like, and now I play a computer. He's like, and like that's what like to like he was like giving himself shit about that. Like there's just some musical element, at least to humans, I think, of having the instrument in front of you
Yeah,
that inspires something different than sitting in front of a laptop, like this, hunched over. Of course, you can get probably similar types of sound, similar ideas, and yeah, there are things that the laptop do fucking a million times better, like intricate MIDI designs and all
sure.
this crazy shit you can do in there. Like, I definitely go back to the software a ton. However, there is something special, I think, about physically doing things. Just like, I mean, like our world today, like going back to the office. Like there, of course, people fucking hate going back to the office, but like there's a certain element of like that you get from face to face interaction. I
Right.
think it's the same type of thing here. Like yeah, you can do it on your software, but there's something special about this too. Sound wise, I mean, there's a few of them that I think nothing can touch. The Mini Moog, I don't think there's a single, even though that fucking plugin's been, how many different Mini
There's
Moog
a
plugins have
bunch.
there been? There's right, so,
Yeah.
but I still don't think it touches it.
Yeah.
Other people say otherwise. The Selena one, I don't think touches it. There's nothing out there that does this. I mean, you don't want to spend 8 Gs or whatever the hell that is to get it,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, dude, and like the Juno ones, there's some that get pretty close, but again, I think there's some different tone to it. At least to my ears in my studio, that's different. But
Yeah.
it doesn't justify the thousands of dollars that you purchase. You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. That's the hard part. It's like I don't think it's essential by any stretch. It's the ear, not the gear, right? Is that what they always say?
Sure.
But
Sure.
but to me, I thought it was like, I love collecting, first of all, clearly.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's a cool representation visually for Instagram of my commitment to this, where other people haven't done that. So
Yes.
again, something a little bit differentiating, as far as like how it could have stood out a little bit. Like, oh shit, this guy really does this type of thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was my thinking behind it. But
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. When I got my
yeah,
OB6 and I played with that
yeah,
SEM filter, I just got chills. I was like, oh my gosh, I have never heard anything
right,
like this on software. I just
yep.
haven't. The way that it like goes down when you filter it down, it's just the most beautiful like resonance. It's just crazy.
Oberheim got literally chills you talking about that. It's hilarious. But Oberheim's
Oberheim's
filter and
amazing.
right, I know, dude, they're just incredible. Yeah, and
Yeah.
even, I mean the Proctor filter is great too. It's all in the filter, right? Of course, but yeah, it is so much fun just like jamming and just like twisting knobs too. You feel like a
Yeah.
mad scientist.
Yes.
Like you can do it in the software, but like you're clicking, it's
It's
not
way more fun when you have the real
yeah,
thing. It
man,
really
right.
is.
And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like we said, man, you got to keep it fun. That's what I think.
For
Like
sure.
if it's not fun, then what the fuck's the point?
Yeah.
Like that's my
Just
opinion.
go
But
do something
yeah,
else if it's not fun,
yeah, literally,
right?
right, totally. Go find something fun for you.
For sure.
So yeah, no, that's good, great, dude. This has been a great one, man.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
on. I appreciate it. Just
yeah.
where can the people find you if you want to just drop like your
Oh
socials?
yeah, yeah. So yeah, prod.jordanfox on
Okay.
Instagram. That's pretty much it. And then obviously on Drum Broker, if you guys pop on over there,
Sure.
that's a really well-known site. And then yeah, I've got my little site, same thing, prod jordanfox.com. If you want to hop over there, it's the same stuff that's on Drum Broker. But yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, his
good shit.
his packs are amazing too. I have them and I've used them, so go cop
Thank
those for sure. But yeah,
Yeah,
man,
man.
we'll talk soon and appreciate you for coming on and yeah, man, this was awesome. I think this will help a lot of
Thank you.
people.
Yeah, that's the point, right?
That's the point.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Jordan.
Sweet man.
Bye.